Hi everyone. My name is Douglas Beaman. I'm Kinship Editor here at ID. Good morning, evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the third episode of Nothing to Hide, ID's new Instagram live series where we jump on a call with the best artists and musicians and actors around the world, and just have a chat about what they've been up to, and it's lots of fun. Shortly, we're going to be joined by one of the strongest young pop stars on the planet, Troye Sivan. I'm sure many of you here are very familiar with him. Over the past 5 years, he's dropped 2 spectacular albums, Blue Neighborhood and then 2018's Brilliant Bloom. But he sort of slipped into the shadows for a little bit and started making a bunch of new music. And out of nowhere, he arrived with a surprise single. It's called Take Yourself Home. Dropped in the middle of quarantine, I guess, just to like treat us all in this very strange and confusing moment. So if all goes to plan, we should be able to beat this one.
Yeah. Did I just join that preemptively?
No, that's perfect. We're all good.
Okay, cool. No, I sort of panicked because I didn't know how to join the live, and then no one sort of popped up. We're good.
It all worked out. Hi.
Okay. Nice to see you again. How's it going?
Yeah, all good. Nice to see you too. Back home in Australia?
Yeah, and actually like back home now because when you land in Australia at the moment, you've got to do 14 days of like lawful isolation, like can't leave your house. And now, so I did that like away in a little like beach town kind of thing. And now I've actually come back to my parents' house where I'm continuing to isolate here. But at least now I'm with my family, so we're good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad. We were all sort of worried for you when you were in that little 14-day period, and it seemed like you were going a bit mental.
I was going mental, but I sort of attribute that to like the song release to that. Like I don't think I would have released it had I been able to be, out and about and running around and stuff. So
yeah. And now we're here, and the song's out.
And now we're here. This is my first interview for the whole thing, I think.
Oh, that's so exciting. What a privilege. Well done. Congratulations. It's fab. I guess the song took on a whole new meaning in the sense that you dropped it in the midst of all this thing about what was going on. I wondered if you wanted to talk about sort of why, or sort of like what this song, the original subtext of this song was when you wrote it.
Yeah. I mean, so originally I was I was sort of writing in between like tour legs and just kind of drips and drabs here and there. And then, I was just going through a really rough patch, I reckon, like in my personal life. And, I think it's kind of made me question like everything. And I did a couple trips to Australia and just realized how much like happier I am here and how much everything just kind of, makes sense here to me. Like my friends that I've got here, I've had since I was 2, and like my family's all here. My family all lives within like a 5-minute drive of each other. I'm in the family group chat, so when I'm in LA, they're like, "Oh, who's coming over for dinner? What are we doing?" But like I see all of that stuff all day, and so I think just like during this vulnerable moment, I just had to kind of question and be like, okay, well, something's not working, so what am I going to do about it? And I sort of just started fantasizing about this idea of just going home to like where everything, made sense. And so, it was funny. We were in the studio and having a bit of a tough day trying to think of stuff. And we actually wrote the first verse of the song to like a completely different track and everything like that. And then went home and I don't know, I was like not really vibing with it. And woke up the next morning with the song stuck in my head, the chorus that we hadn't written yet. I just had this like chorus stuck in my head. And I had no idea where it came from. I spent like 5 seconds being like, wait, is that already a song? Like, how do I have this loop in my head? And I realized that it wasn't. So I quickly started recording myself and sung it into my phone, went back into the studio that day, and we started writing that idea. And then, I hope she's okay with me saying this, but then Charlie XCX was having a really tough day that day and she was being very public about it on socials. Like, she was, just kind of questioning. It's that thing that like all artists go through, like at least a few times a month, where you're just like, kind of, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Do I know what I'm doing? Like, why am I doing the things that I do? Etc. and it really started a conversation just casually in the studio about music and about like why we do what we do and what we're trying to say and who we're trying to be and all this stuff. And slowly but surely, piece by piece, the song just sort of ended up like writing itself. And then we turned around and we're like, okay, so wait, we have this verse idea from yesterday, we've got this chorus idea, and this full-fledged concept that feels so real to like everything that that is going on in my life, and I'm sure in a lot of other people's lives. Did we just like write a song? And we listened back to it, and I like almost cried. I was so happy with just how accurately I felt like we had captured everything that I was feeling.
Yeah, it must be such a nice feeling.
I sent the song to Charlie after. I sent it like that day, like the first demo I sent her, and I was like, I hope you're okay. But also, your like Instagram meltdown just completely inspired this song. So thank you very much.
Cool. Yeah, Charlie is always inspiring, isn't she?
Yeah.
Was this always the first song you wanted to get out there, or did this sort of feel like the right time for this song to? Yeah, did this feel like the right time for this song to come out?
Well, so yeah, I mean, the second I wrote it, I was like, oh, I feel like I want people to hear this first from me. Like, this is the next thing that I want people to hear. But honestly, we were chilling. Like, we've had the song for a good few months now. We were just like taking it easy, and I was actually filming a movie in Atlanta, and then everything got put on hold, and I came back to Australia, and we had this one photo shoot of and we had the song. And with everything that was going on in the world, I just sort of re-listened to the song, and I was like, this song means something so completely different now than it did to me personally, you know, when I wrote it. And it just feels like right. And I also got really upset about just like unemployment and people that I really care about, that I work with all the time, all of their gigs getting cancelled, and like you know, my crew and my band, and like you know, graphic designers, and just everyone that I work with, the entire world right now is in such unstable ground. And I was like, okay, well, you know, I have an opportunity here I feel so lucky to have like art to get me through this, and like creation to get me through this, because that's what I've been doing this last 14 days in isolation. Like, I feel like a 17-year-old again. All I've been doing is just like making stuff. And I feel so lucky to have that. And like, I fully recognize how lucky I am to be able to just like chill through this time and not be worried about like my next paycheck and stuff. So I was like, how can I like make this a thing and share this and try and, you know, get people working and give people something to do from their homes while like the whole world is falling apart. And so it was a very spontaneous decision, like almost nil plan from like my end or from the label's end or anything. It was a bit of a panic once I said it, but after, I was just like hanging out on Instagram Live, as everyone is fucking doing 20 times a day at the moment. And
here we are.
yeah, exactly. And then I was just like, okay, let's put out this song.
Yeah, it's sort of like the reverse of what a lot of people are doing. Everyone seems to sort of be like holding back stuff until the song blows over, whereas this sort of like a nice tonic to get everyone through that.
Yeah.
And such a nice opportunity to work with so many like fantastic artists in creating like the aesthetic around this song in particular. But I wanted to talk about the aesthetic of what I guess is like TS3, like this whole next era for you, and what you've kicked off. And what's your sort of like color palette, mood board references? A lot of people have asked if this piercing is legit. What are you sort of like getting from you visually for the foreseeable future? What are you working on?
Well, so I think a big part of the plan always for me with this music was like, it captures such a specific so I stopped writing. It's not a full length album. It's longer than an EP though. I don't really know what it is. I don't really think that like matters anymore. But I just was like, okay, this is a like capsule of absolutely everything that's been happening. And like, I feel like I've said everything that I need to say, and every angle of this has been explored now. And so, because it captures such a specific time, and because a lot of it is me sort of like losing my footing and feeling like, well, wait a second, like who the hell like am I? I knew that I kind of wanted to look a really specific way, and a very different way than I have in the past for this entire project. And so so that was really fun to be able to kind of almost build this like character, you know, that's like just a little like he's not looking his best. He's a little run down, a little fucked up, and just like, you know, worn down and kind of exhausted. And so so exploring that and kind of starting from there, it was so fun to start kind of like building this. I mean, it's eerie to say now, but like this almost like post-apocalyptic. It felt like my world was falling apart. So it's like, okay, there's almost like post-apocalyptic version of myself, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's like no, exactly, and it's like the creation of a character. I love everyone's sort of allusions to like Lady Bird and stuff, but it does feel like completely it does feel like sort of like a mental breakdown, like visually in terms of like how you're sort of like putting it across. But yeah, that whole Lady Bird thing was like.
Also to clarify, I swear on my life I had never seen the Lady Bird poster. Like, or maybe if I did, it just didn't register. Only once I posted it on Twitter I was just like, oh fuck. But I'm really happy now because I don't mind at all. I think Lady Bird's like hot, so we're good.
Yeah, it looks great. We're all good. So I've got a few questions from fans as well. A fan called Jordan asked how this new project will differ from both Bloom and Blue Neighborhood.
Well, so I think that the biggest difference is in the writing. I really, really, again, because it was coming from such a like word vomit place of like, oh my God, what is going on in my life? I didn't adhere to like pop structures and stuff like that. Like it's a lot more experimental than I think anything I've done before. Like there are songs on there that I still don't really understand the structure of. It was just me, and oftentimes some of this album was actually written by it was like Leland, myself, Oscar Gores is on every song, and a lot of the songs were actually just Oscar and I as well, and being able to just like be in the studio and literally just try stuff. Like there was really, really no rules, because also like it hasn't been that long since I released Bloom. I was still on tour. Like it was such a low pressure environment, and there was just so much going on that I was like, you know what, fuck it. This song does need a like 30-second dance break at the end of it. You know, like like for example with Take Yourself Home, I think a lot of the sort of treatment that I like prescribed myself during this time was trying to refine myself, like going out and going dancing and being around people and kind of like finding like therapy in that. And so I really wanted to express that in the music, that that, you know, a moment like Take Yourself Home, which is so introspective and so like kind of like moody, to then throw yourself into some sort of like wild situation just to kind of like feel something. You know, stuff like that. I wanted the music to really tell a story at every point. If that kind of fit into a pop structure or not, that was sort of secondary to me.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time we spoke, it was a few months before Bloom came out, and you said it was 98% done, and there was still like, it's like you kept fans waiting for like 6 months afterwards. How far along do you feel like you are with this? Do you feel like is it like completely in the bag done, and how long do you sort of want to like wait and sort of like before you get out of there?
Well, it's interesting because this time because I'm literally just going with the flow. Like I've always wanted to do a release like this where you just get to kind of like feel it out day by day and be like, okay, you know, like how far along in the story are we today, and do I feel ready to kind of like tell the next chapter or whatever. So we're sort of just going with the flow and figuring it out, but the music itself, I'm just waiting on like production changes and stuff like that. So which I think that's what I was doing when I last spoke to you, but I swear this time it's like actually there. So songs are being mixed right now. Like I'm getting mixes in my emails, and that doesn't mean that I'm going to roll it out really quickly, because I don't really, like, I genuinely don't know. It's just going to be whatever feels right. Like I would obviously love to be able to make a like live action music video for one of these songs or for a few of these songs, and so maybe waiting until we can do that again, or maybe not. Maybe figuring, you know, if I feel inspired and like I do feel kind of like a dick, but I'm also like, if I tell the label and everyone that like I want to release the song in like 3 days, it seems like they're down. So we're good. You know, we're just gonna go with the flow.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. It's like you could, everything that came out of that, those collaborations for the first single, looks and feels great, and it's like it's creating its own little world from that point as well. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, and
yeah,
all
you've
that
got
stuff came together in like a week. That's why I'm just so thankful and grateful. I don't know why I've never worked like this before, outsourcing stuff online to just like insanely creative, talented people. It's been so inspiring to me to be able to like sit in a holiday house in like, you know, coastal Victoria in Australia and be working with people from all over the world who are sitting in their homes wherever, and all of us just like making stuff and getting by, and yeah, and I'm getting such like cool stuff back that I have a lot more faith in like just creatives being creative now. I kind of feel less like I need to control absolutely everything, and it's really, really enjoyable because people are just like blowing me away and making stuff so much better than I could have ever, you know, imagined or made if I was like being a tyrant about how you know, like, okay, we need this for this date and this for this date and this doesn't look right, or like, no, if you let people go and if you let people show their creativity and share their kind of like talents with the world, they can really blow you away. So it's cool.
Yeah. A lot of people have been asking about quarantine recommendations in terms of like movies to watch and books to read. What has sort of been keeping you, with the exception of putting together an entire like launch campaign for your music, what's sort of been keeping you like staying and engaged for the past few weeks? What have you been watching? What have you been reading?
We've been cooking a lot. In the house before, I was with my sister and her friend. We all flew together from America, so we all isolated together. And they're vegan, so I was like learning a lot about vegan food and like eating a lot of vegetables and tofu and stuff. And then what else? I mean, lamest answer because the entire world is on this train, but Tiger King. I've been watching Tiger King.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
on episode 6, but I do this thing where I really like falling asleep to TV, so I always put it on like and then watch maybe 10 minutes before I'm asleep, and then like the next night I'll watch another 10 minutes. So it's lasting a good while, but I'm happy because I'm enjoying it so much. It's so good.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do that. I made the mistake of watching the entire thing and like the whole like 5.5 hours like completely back to back. It's sort of like really mentally scarring by the end. So yeah, like take it in like dribs and drabs. I think that's probably a safe way to do it. Yeah, I was looking back on I think the first interview you ever did with us back in 2016, and we called you the voice of the internet generation. 4 years on, do you still feel sort of like intrinsically tied to the internet?
Well, so I think it's really interesting. Had you have asked me that on the Bloom like campaign, I probably would have said no. And I still don't feel like I'm like that's a big quote and a big claim to be the voice of the internet. I don't feel like I'm that. But I do feel this time, you know, not having the option of like being in the back of a car in New York going between interview number 11 and interview number 12 for the day, and rather like sitting at home being on Twitter or being on Facebook or being what the fuck Facebook, I haven't been on Facebook in 5 years, being on Instagram, sorry, or like making a TikTok or whatever. These are the things that like brought me so much joy when I was younger, and all of that has fully come back. So I'm loving being on social media, and it sort of just like reminded me, this whole campaign has just felt so like easy and genuine and fun, and like I'm having more fun on the internet than I think I've had in a really, really long time. So yeah, it's all good.
It shows in your knowledge of meme culture right now. It's really on point.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That means a lot. I think that's a big compliment.
Zoe, a fan, asked if you're watching the new season of RuPaul, and if so, who are you rooting for?
So, shamefully, like, I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but I fell off with Drag Race after I watched the first 2. Like, I watched the premiere. It was a 2-part premiere, and I loved it. And then I think it's because I got to Australia and it's like a bit more complicated here. You need an account on this website called Stan, which like I don't have, and I just haven't asked my family for their password. So I've been avoiding all info, and I'm going to catch up at some point, like during the quarantine.
Okay, well, yeah, you've got time now. Soak it all in. That like binge, that like
exactly.
that 3-episode Drag Race binge will feel really beautiful. It's gonna be so satisfying. Everyone seems to be having sort of like like hairstyle issues just now. A fan called Rory asked if if you considered buzzing your hair yet.
I don't know what I'm gonna do because I need a haircut. I really do. But I don't want to go sit with like a barber who has sat with 10 other people that day with their like hands in my face and stuff like that. It just doesn't feel like the thing that we should be doing right now. So maybe at some point I'll like have my mum cut my hair or something like that. But for now, I'm just gonna let it grow. I also a couple of months ago I like kind of trimmed the sides and ended up with this mullet situation that I actually was really liking. But then I was doing that movie, so I had to get rid of it. So now maybe I'll do that again and get back into the mullet vibes.
I think it's very on trend right now. Tiger King again. It all ties together.
Exactly.
A fan called Jenna asked, "What was the most memorable conversation you've had in the past fortnight that wasn't tied to what's going on in the world right now?"
Oh, that wasn't tied to what's going on in the world. Being in isolation with my sister and her friend led to a lot of really, really like insightful conversations and really, really just nice. In Australia we call them DNMs. Do you ever call them that? Do you know what that is?
I don't know.
It's a deep and meaningful. It's like a school term. Like I've said it since I was a little kid. You can go and have a DNM with someone. It just means, like when someone pulls you aside and you end up accidentally talking for like a really long time about something that you wouldn't normally talk about. There was a lot of DNMing happening in the house. So and a lot of it actually was not COVID related. But I think at the same time, I don't think those conversations would have taken place had we not have been in the situation we were in. So I'm like thankful for those.
Yeah, it's one of the few like nice byproducts of this very like strange and confusing time is that you find the conversations you're having are often a lot more like comforting, insightful, and you might have, like you said, never had them if this wasn't the situation we were in. So it's like one nice thing
exactly.
at least. We're all sort of living like day to day now. I wondered if you had any plans, if you're like sort of making plans day to day, and if you know what you're going to do tomorrow.
Well, I can't do anything. Like all I can do is go for a walk because that's like the law right now. So it's funny. I'm like FaceTiming my friends. I'm like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? And everyone's just like, same thing that I did yesterday, at home, chilling. I guess it's more about just like, I don't know, like, I'm just gonna feel it out. I'm gonna be doing some like I feel really lucky to have everything that's going on musically going on because at least it gives me something to do every day. So I'm gonna be like, just like making stuff, doing promo bits and just enjoying the reactions to the song.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm glad you can bask in that in a very sort of like intense way for the next few days at least, because it's like I said, it's fantastic and you should be very proud. And it's going to be exciting. It's glad to have Troye Sivan back. Another great male pop star. It's all we need.
Thank you so much. We've also got The Weeknd. I feel like he has been killing it. Like I'm so excited about his album and all of his visuals and stuff this time around. I think it's been sick.
Yeah. Do you feel like much of an anomaly in that sense, in terms of like, do you see a lot of your like male peers making music like this that's is like inspiring? Do you have other people you look up to and admire?
Oh, totally. Yeah. No, I think there's so many people. Oh my God, who are some male artists that I love? I mean, like I really, really liked the Harry Styles album. I think anytime like the 1975. It's just for me, it's those artists that I'm like, I genuinely don't know what you're going to do next. Those are the people that I'm like so excited by because you can tell that they are, I would hope that they're having fun with their careers, in the same way that like I feel like I'm having a lot of fun because I'm like, just like I never know if any of this shit's going to work. I'm just like going with what feels right. Because I know how that feels, I really respond to that in other artists. So when I see people that are just kind of like doing what feels right to them, that's always super exciting to me. And I think there's a lot of people that are doing that right now.
Amazing. Is there any sort of like sign-off information you'd like to give us in terms of and anything any message you'd like to deliver to the people that you haven't accidentally spilled already?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, I need to literally keep my mouth closed because I've given away so much already. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there will be much more music coming really, really soon. And yeah, God knows how soon. Could be tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for supporting the song and for listening to it. And yeah, I hope everyone just like stays safe, stays at home, and if you can. And also, oh yeah, I guess one more thing is I'm selling T-shirts that have like take yourself home art on them by two of them by this designer named Lanning, and one is by this guy Jack. And I found them both on Instagram, and then we're donating all of the proceeds to the WHO Solidarity Fund or the Spotify like COVID Relief Fund. And Spotify's matching donations up to $10 million. So if you buy one T-shirt, you're like essentially, they're gonna like double that. And so yeah, it's like a great cause, and obviously you get a cool T-shirt. So if you want to, there's that as well.
Yeah, TroyeSivan.com. I'm sure you can go and buy one of those.
Sounds about right. I'm like not 100% sure if that's the right link, but it sounds like it would be legit. So yeah.
Sounds legit. It'll get you there eventually. Amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much, Troye. It's been great to chat to you again. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, stay safe.
Thank you
and
so
have
much. You too.
a nice day. Yeah, and congrats again. I'm excited to see what comes next. Okay. Bye, Troye. See you soon. Yeah, for sure.
Bye.
Can't wait. Bye. Excellent. So yeah, that was Troye. His new single is out now. It's fantastic. Go and stream it if you haven't already. And thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you next time. Could be anytime soon. So stay tuned.